Hello, beautiful people. How are all of you doing today? How do you do, chat? Good morning to everyone. Guys, he's gonna crash out when I've seen the banner already. Hello.
Phew, it's heating up out here.
Alright, chat. Embrace the Volati now for your meta. Bro, I was thinking about it, man. Fuck. Like, fuck, dude. Yo, is this like the best 4-star lineup? What the fuck? Holy shit. 5 lance, 5 sword, fruitful hook. That's actually insane. Yeah, who gives a fuck about the 5 stars, man? Like, gee. But I'm not getting baited. I don't know, man. I've been convinced to go for INEFFA. I'll go for INEFFA. Cause I'm already like 30. I'm already 30 into pity. Maybe 30 isn't enough though. I don't know. Hmm. How many pulls do you have? I don't have that many. But I still have a lot of Primo Gems to farm on the map.
Would you care to sit down and join me for some tea?
You still have a special place in my heart. Thank you, Mo. Hope you have a great time too. My territory. The heck? What is bro yapping about? Wait, let me clear my queue and then add those to the
Would
queue.
you care to
So, create furnishing, remove.
if you ever
Actually, do I still want to do dress rank stuff?
would you care
I
to
do, right? Actually, this doesn't fucking change anything, does it? Yeah, no, I don't actually need to. I can just focus on doing my furnishing sets now.
if you ever had
More money capacity? Well, as long as I'm diligent in claiming it often, I don't need more money capacity. Um... Hmm. What do we need for this? Just more furnishings, sets, purchase co-op stuff? Okay.
would you care to see
Alright. We need fir wood, and that's literally it. Where do we farm fir wood? Mondstadt?
if you ever
These are all fir trees, right? You should do Sumeru Reputation for the gadget? You're probably right. Wood farming tier list wench. I mean, Xiao is the goat for wood farming. That's all that really matters. Ito has a tree passive, does he? Oh no, I don't have Ito. Does? What does the passive do? Chance for +1 wood. Oh. What's the lore reason behind that?
Would you care to if you ever
Alright. Want furnishing boost? I don't care. I won't pick it up until tomorrow anyways. How good is INEFFA? I know wheelchair looking. It's probably not that good.
stronger. Start the let's dance. Pyroclastic surge.
Alright, chat. We get our EM main stat right now and we can stop doing this. And go back to Codex.
Burn it down. Quick as a flash. Form first. Let the show. Red from the sky.
Bad. Bad. Maybe I log this anyways because it's a 4-liner with ER.
Rise with the sun. Control breathing. On my let's dance. Pyroclastic surge.
Is C6 definitely on par with Natlin level DPS? I mean, yeah. He's like on par with Chaska. Which I suppose is on par with... Like, he's not on par with Varessa Moika, but he's on par with, like, Chaska, Ganich.
Let's dance. Pyroclastic surge.
Come on! EM main stat sands. That's all I'm looking for. Right. I wish I was on the other side. Bro. I don't think I've ever seen this scroll bar. Here. What the fuck? I think it's because on my main account, I don't get adventure rank XP anymore. I just get Mora. So I have one less item, so the scroll bar never appears. I think that's why. It appears on your main, not from artifact farming. Like, I've seen the scroll bar, but I've never seen it on artifact farming before.
Let the show begin. Light of the blazing sun.
Come on, EM main stat, Gilded Sands. We try again. Oh, what the fuck? My energy.
Let's dance. Pyroclastic surge.
You know what? Maybe I just don't need it. Oh, that's good. Crit rate and ER. That's a good piece.
Light it up. Step aside. On my, I'll protect us.
I'm a fucking idiot. Come on, man. I don't want to be stuck on this fucking artifact set anymore. Alright, last one for today. EM main stat, come on. No. Oh, it is what it is. Okay, I want to see how this rolls. Come on. I don't really care about the last roll, like, though EM is, like, probably the best one. Now I just care about crit rate and ER. That's great. That's great. I'll take it. Nah, unlucky. It's fine, though. It's a usable piece. I'll level this to 4, see if it rolls ER. I should have checked the instructor pieces. It did roll ER, though. Okay, that's good. But it's fine. We'll finish leveling it anyways. Okay, that's alright. It's an okay start. Who are these for? Dendro MC? Not necessarily. Just anyone if when I end up ever playing Hyperbloom teams. It's not decided who the Dendro character in those teams is gonna be, but I will likely end up having some Dendro teams at some point. Maybe Loma. I don't think I'm going for Loma on this account. I could, but meh.
Oh, you're dripping wet. That must be uncomfortable. Let's take a break.
Because I'm going for Loma on main.
Thank you for add as
You getting Flynn's INEFFA anywhere? I'm considering getting it on this account. The problem is that I kind of can't guarantee both. And I don't want to just get INEFFA. I'd be okay with just getting Flynn's. And getting INEFFA later. But the problem is I really want Bennett. And right now, I've got some pity built up, and I'm not on 50-50. So I kind of want to get rid of that shit and get INEFFA, just so that I can pull on the fucking Milani banner and get myself a Bennett. And a Milani. I'm not getting a Milani. Begging. I think it would be really nice if I did not get Milani. Would you risk Milani or Chaska? Definitely Milani over Chaska. Did I forget to change account? I changed region. Did I also change account? Did I not? I hope I did. I'm not sure anymore. Okay, I did. Thank God. Alright. Today will be an upgrade. Real.
Show no mercy. Extinguish.
Not real. I'm lying. Wrong character to swap to.
Get to work.
What is this, dude? Like, look at how much smaller it is on this account, man.
Show no mercy.
When I use condensed, because doing this takes 7 seconds.
Adapt. Fulfill our path.
So does it really matter?
Off to the quick. Get to work. Sword.
You gonna use fragiles or are you saving them? I'm saving them for now. Pretty sure Skirt Burst clears faster. It doesn't.
Fulfill our path. Mine to wield.
In order to Skirk Burst and have it kill, you need at least 2 Void Rifts, and generating 2 Void Rifts takes too long. I guess if I just do this,
Off to the breeze, get to work.
I have to wait for the second Void Rift,
Paradise.
and then it already took longer. Try it with 1 Rift, I know it's not enough.
Fulfill our pact. Fearless. And never draw those out.
Close, meh. Meh.
A little amuse, but get to
I guess it is less inputs, so I might as well just do it.
paradise.
Who knows, maybe this rolls crit on 4. It didn't. Alright. Lisa's makes us watch her pretty burst. True.
Add Astra. Thank you for Add Astra.
Alright. Okay. So apparently we've got some more clarification on the third Decision Onslaught. So more clarification on Drake's mechanics. What actually happens is if you can't reach 25% HP thresholds because of res and it takes you more than 50 seconds to deal enough damage of a different element, then it flies up. 25% HP just resets the 50-second timer. Yeah, we already knew this, basically. Okay. Crab, no major changes. Crab only flies during shield phase, otherwise it hovers and can be easily attacked by characters. Hyperloom without Llama is still kind of weak. It also made it even more impossible for Pyro, because now once the crab falls down after the shield breaks, it spawns in a wide cone formation, 3 seeds. For Bloom and to some extent Hyperloom players, this can be used as extra ways to gain damage against the crab. Llama here is heavily encouraged if you have C0 or no Nahida. Okay. Fatui, the new change to Electrocharge severely decreases the regeneration of the shield, but the Fatui must have Electro and Hydro on him for that to work. So if you have low EC uptime, like say Nahida Hyperbloom, because Dendro takes over, then you'll have to fight with normal shield generation rate. To give a description of how weak the regeneration rate, so orbitals, no damage, plus 950 EM Cookie E hitting the Fatui, and nothing else depletes more shield than it generates. This change massively boosts the viability of continuous DPS like Blind, but also makes overrate teams much more viable, even at low investment. Beware that Raiden E is unable to hit the Fatui while shield is up. Oh no. Oh no. That means Fav and Sack don't work either, doesn't it? Oh no. INEFFA and Flynn's are very optional now here. Except maybe Dire. Overload staggers the boss easily and makes dodging a non-issue. Oh. Well, alright, chat. What should we start with? Should we start with the post-release, or should we start with the banner review? Everyone's saying banner review. Alright, but let's do that. Post-release is more important. I'll get the post-release out before the banner review, but I'm recording both today, so it doesn't matter which one I do first. Everyone say hi to YouTube. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome. Hi to the Genshin Impact 5.8 Phase 2 banner review. Molani is getting a rerun. Chaska is getting a rerun. As we close out the Natlan chapter of the story, we're getting two of the arguably fairly well-balanced Natlan carries on a rerun. And there's actually quite a bit to say about both of them. They're fairly interesting characters balance-wise. So we've got a lot of yap in us for this one. They're being run alongside Bennett, Oron, and INEFFA. And we have one hell of a weapon banner. So we have Surf's Up, Astral Vultures, Crimson Plumage. And then we have a Wave Riding Whirl. We have, what's it called? Flower Wreathed Feathers. And then we have Fav Sword, Fav Lance, Fruitful Hook. There's a lot to say about these banners. So let's just get right into it. Alright, no more stalling. Let's talk about Molani. Molani is probably the worst good character in the game.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Fuck. I just procced my Widsith by putting her in the party. Sorry. My Widsith is on cooldown now. Anyways, this exemplifies the free-to-play Molani experience so well, by the way. Molani is a character that, just numbers-wise, is fairly strong. Nothing, like, crazy, but is pretty good. That being said, the fact that she doesn't have access to buffs to her main stat scaling, right? She's an HP scaling character, and she doesn't really have access to HP percent or flat HP buffs from the rest of the party. The only HP buffs we have from party members are, like, 5-star constellations, or fake as fuck. And on top of that, a lot of her good weapons, like Widsith, don't give her any HP. That creates a scenario where the amount of stats that you gain from one roll of crit versus one roll of HP is actually pretty similar. In other words, let's say you have a build that has a total of 25 useful substat rolls, right? Usually, you have, let's say, 20 crit rolls and 5 attack rolls on an attack scaling character. You probably have another build lying around that has like 2 or 3 less crit rolls for like 4 or 5 more attack rolls, but it won't actually be better than your current build, because while attack rolls on those other characters are good, they're not as good as the crit rolls. For Molani, those alternative builds will be better, which creates a scenario where Molani ends up, in her optimal builds, having a higher total amount of substats. With the same resin investment, she ends up getting more substats. That's one of the many factors that makes Molani kind of an interesting character. On top of that, her damage is fairly front-loaded. those two factors together make her one of the better low investment, not low investment, one of the better, like, free-to-play speedrunners. And then an additional factor is that, well, she's a catalyst, so Widsith. And Widsith, when you get the right buff, is really, really powerful. But then the problems start to rear their ugly heads. There's a lot of problems with Molani. There's the obvious ones and the less obvious ones. So obvious ones, her coding is all over the fucking place. Alright? It really is kind of... It's a pain in the ass. The auto-targeting is often kind of cooked. The pufferfish that she spawns after doing her chomp sometimes just disappears. I've had it fall off of the abyss floor once. It was really funny, but it wasn't. Anyways, the stack generation for her chomps, right? When Molani uses her skill, she generates up to 3 stacks, and at 3 stacks is when you want to use a chomp, right? The way it's coded is kind of finicky, and sometimes it just doesn't work. But if you wait until after you see the 3rd stack getting generated, it slows down your hits, and sometimes because you're slowed down, your buffs are going to fall off. So if you want to play Molani optimally, you have to, like, remember the right timing and use it as soon as possible. But if there's a slight issue with a finicky coding and you don't get the stack, you end up with a 2 stack instead of a 3 stack, and her damage just fucking falls completely to nothing, and it's awful. Molani often struggles to run competent healers in her teams. She can use Shilonen, but in a lot of the teams that run Shilonen, it's hard to slot in your Shilonen burst. Because if you're playing what the, like, default Molani team is right now, which is Molani, Shilonen, Sucrose, Pyro, with the Pyro slot being fairly flexible. Let's just use Pyro MC for now. Or this doesn't have to be Sucrose and can be another Animo. Right? You apply Hydro, then you crystallize it for Cinder City or Petro or whatever, and Shilonen Shred, and then you swirl it with Sucrose. But if you apply Hydro, then swap to Shilonen and use both her skill and her burst, you won't have Hydro on the enemy anymore, and then you won't be able to swirl it. And you'll have to swap back to Molani, which makes your setup longer, but more importantly, if you have Widsith, which procs your Widsith, and makes it so that you then have to swap to Sucrose, then Pyro MC, then back to Molani, and you're only going to get 1 chomp with Widsith uptime, and the rest is going to be after the Widsith buff expires. And so, being put in situations where you have to use Shilonen's burst, where you have to heal, fucks over your setup so much. Which makes it so that despite Molani being an HP scaler, which has a fairly large HP pool, she is actually one of the characters that dies in combat more often. Because you actively get punished fairly hard for healing in a team like this. It's not as bad if you don't use Widsith, right? If you're a Battle Pass player and you use Sack Jade, or if you use the craftable weapon, or if you end up going for her Sig, obviously. But for free-to-play players that want to get their clears on difficult content, Widsith is so much better than the free-to-play that you kind of just have to take the L. And the way you're actually supposed to do it is you have to make sure that you only use Shilonen's burst on rotations where Widsith is on cooldown. Because you only proc Widsith every other rotation. So you want to use the Shilonen burst on a rotation where it doesn't fuck you over to use it, basically. Anyways, that's just one of the, like, things. But it's the one that's bothered me the most when I've done my turtle testing this Sidon Onslaught. Other than that, though, there's even more potential problems, right? A lot of your pyro applicators have some problems, right? They're either long cooldowns, which force you into longer rotations, or single target application, which makes things pretty shit when you're in AoE, or slow application, which makes you kind of have to hold off on your chomps a little bit, or all they do is pyro application, and it feels kind of bad to use a character that isn't buffing your Molani at all. Anyways, other than that, right? It's also possible for enemies to dodge your pyro application if they move. And unless you're playing the really fast applicator, like Xiangling with her burst, if an enemy ever dodges an application, you are completely cooked. Because you'll apply Hydro on them, and then you need to apply Pyro 3 times by your next chomp to remove the Hydro and reapply Pyro. You need to apply Pyro twice to remove the Hydro. It's something you'll notice a lot if you try to play Molani in this Sidon Onslaught against the Cactus. Right, she's a Hydro character, so she can do Cactus. But the hat shuffling makes it so that your Pyro applicators often start applying Pyro on the wrong hat. And then you're just completely cooked. Then there's also the possibility of your Pyro applicator's uptime being too long, and you still apply Pyro after your uptime is over, but then you need to reapply Hydro so you can crystallize and swirl it, so you kind of just have to wait until your Pyro application is over. I'm pretty sure there's a sim on GC Sim where it's at C3 Xiangling and C4 Xiangling is like a 20k DPS loss. A lot of the Pyro applicators are also RNG reliant, right? If you do Pyro MC or Dea, you want to use them on Sac, and Sac is not 100% a proc even at R5. So it can be kind of cooked. There's a lot of things, basically. But if you're willing to deal with all of those issues, Molani is a character that performs fairly well. On top of that, Molani is a character that has fairly strong early constellations, as well as a fairly powerful signature weapon. That, paired with her ability to front-load her damage, and her ability to cheat out more total stats than other characters, makes her a very strong, like, dolphin character. Or I guess a shark character. Get it? Anyways, the biggest problem with Molani right now is that with the current... I feel like I say this every fucking video nowadays, but with the current power creep trend, I don't know how competitive Molani will be with characters like 4 or 5 patches from now. The early calcs on Nogcry characters seem to indicate that the baseline for Nogcry carries is higher than the baseline for Natlan carries. If you look at the sort of DPS you could expect from Natlan carries in 5.0 versus Nogcry carries in 6.0, the non-cry carries are like 10 to 20k DPS higher. Now, the Natlan carries got better as 5.x progressed, because they got more options. So they're not 10 to 20k ahead of current Natlan carry teams, but most likely will get characters that synergize with the non-cry carries, and so their teams will likely get stronger. And will Molani be able to keep up with that? I don't know. I think the main deciding factor for whether Molani will stay very powerful and very relevant in the meta going forward is going to be Durin. We've already had indicators that Durin is going to be a pyro support. And we don't know exactly what Durin is going to do. But as I mentioned earlier, right? Molani right now, her biggest problem is that last slot. It's the pyro slot. Right? When you look at your pyro options, right, in this team, you've got Xiangling, but if you do skill-only Xiangling, Goba's application AoE is awful, and the timing is really tight, and enemies can just move out of it. And if you do burst-only Xiangling, or sorry, if you do burst Xiangling, you've got longer cooldowns, longer rotations, and potential problems with it being difficult to set up your swirl next rotation. You look at Pyro MC. Where's Pyro MC? You look at Pyro MC. Pyro MC has some issues with being forced into sack for shorter rotations. But is arguably one of the more synergistic ones. But you have to realize, right? Pyro MC ain't doing shit here. You already have Scroll on your team from Shilonen, so most people run Pyro MC on fucking archaic Petra and try to like not pick up the crystal on Shilonen and instead pick it up on Pyro MC. Don't ask about the current build. It's fine. But Pyro MC doesn't really do much, right? It's 9% damage buff. And that's it. And Pyro application. You compare that to the off-field applicators for other elements, right? You compare it to Seat Lolly. With a Shred and TDDS. You compare it to Escoffier with Insane Shred and healing and damage. And you'll notice, like, oh, okay, we really just don't have the strongest options, right? You can do Maoika, but the problem with Maoika is that in teams like this, you kind of don't end up reacting Maoika's burst, so her personal damage is kind of pathetic. And her buff isn't that good either, and she's got a cooldown that forces you into longer rotations. And so there is really room for improvement on the Pyro slot. And if Durin is designed to be a proper Pyro enabler, then that might be a really good thing for Molani. But we don't know that for sure yet. Yeah, I mean, we can actually talk about that. The last slot options from Molani are so bad that whales find themselves using Hu Tao for Pyro application. It's not the best one, but Hu Tao does give 12% crit rate, and another no. Yeah, she does give 12% crit rate, and her skill cooldown is 16, which makes it easier to make it work in those shorter rotations when you compare it to characters like Mawiko with the 18-second cooldown, or Pyro MC with the 18-second cooldown as well. Like it's not going to be as good as using Shanlang, but Guoba is just so hard to make work with Molani properly. And so some whales are actually do use Hu Tao for their clears. That's how pathetic the state of the Pyro last slot for Molani is right now. Anyways, outside of just like balance stuff altogether, there's another important factor, I think, which is the way in which carries function in Stygian Onslaught. So what do I mean by that? What the fuck is that? That seems fucking... Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Okay. What was I saying? I got distracted. Sorry. Oh yeah, the way in which the character functions in Stygian Onslaught. There's two main factors about that, right? One, their boss matchups, and two, their team building. So, team building is pretty straightforward. It's, when you look at the characters they work with, is it characters that other strong carries want? So, for Molani, like I said, right now, Chilonen, Sucrose, Pyro. Chilonen is a somewhat contested unit, but she's generally replaceable in teams where she's good. So it's not too big of a deal. Sucrose, right now, isn't too contested, but when Flint comes out, she'll be a lot more contested. Sucrose and Nogwai is kind of the GOAT. So there's an okay-ish amount of it being contested here. But if you don't have Sucrose available, or if you don't have her at all, or if you just don't want to use her, the other animal options are usable, right? They're not completely dysfunctional, they're just not necessarily as good. And you can also do something like Candace, and it works. You can use 3-star Sucrose Heizo, or 3-star Sucrose Kazuha, and it works. And the Pyro slot, well, none of them is all that good, but that also means that it doesn't really matter which one you use. Which means that for the team building aspect, things are looking all right. It's not bad. She's not too demanding in terms of her supports. And the second aspect is boss matchups. And it's really weird to say, or it's really difficult to say for Molani because honestly, she's being shilled right now. But what exactly describes Molani, right? She's low frequency damage, so she's gonna work against bosses like Turtle. She's hydro damage. She's multiplicative reaction, right? Vape damage. The fact that the main thing that enables her is a Pyro Aura gives her a little bit of flexibility in team building, where you can either go for the traditional Shilonen VV Pyro, or you can go for a burning team with her. So she's also going to be able to work against the bosses that favor burning, or just high frequency damage in general because of burning. So she's going to be good against bosses that favor low frequency, like Turtle, or high frequency, like, I guess, Papilla. Though Papilla itself isn't the best matchup, but it's fine. Yeah, like last Siege and Onslaught's Lava Dragon. Overall, I'd say that her boss matchups are okay. The fact that every single one of her teams is a vape team does mean that there are certain bosses that are just completely unplayable for her. Any boss that has an innate aura that isn't Pyro, completely cooked for Milani. I mean, technically, if the innate aura is Dendro, you're fine, but you get it. Any boss that heavily relies on you triggering a specific reaction that doesn't fit well is going to be pretty rough. Right? If we look at the upcoming bosses, Milani will be unplayable against both the Fatui and the Crab boss. But she'll be alright against a Drake, though not necessarily that amazing. So I'd say that Milani right now, she's an okay character. Her long-term value is, like I said, going to be dependent on Durin, I think. But as of now, she's a fairly strong character. She's okay. For new players, getting Milani can be nice because her teams can function with very little pulls on your account. Right? You can make a functional Milani team with Milani, Xiangling, Animo MC, or I don't have Animo MC right now, so I'll just fucking use Lynette, whatever. What the heck is Lynette? Lynette and Kachina if you want, I guess. It works. And sure, Kachina's kind of dog shit, but it's a team that functions. If you get one copy of Candace, you can use her. If you get one copy of Sucrose, you can use her. And a team like this will be fairly functional. And it also has the upside of, if you're a very new player, you want to get a powerful team as quickly as possible. If you just want to build the strongest team for, say, I don't know, Neuvillette, you're going to need to get Neuvillette, and then you're going to have to wait for a Farina banner. If you want to make the strongest team for Milani, you'll get way more out of getting a Constellation or a Sig on Milani than out of getting Shilonen or any other specific 5-star. So if all you want is a powerful team as quickly as possible, she's a pretty good character for new accounts. But the biggest problem is we don't know how well she'll hold up against the Not Cry meta. So, personally, I would say that if you're a very new player, you can consider going for her, and she won't be bad. But she shouldn't be your priority unless you really like her. Next is Chaska. And Chaska is very different from Molani. Chaska is a character that doesn't really have that ability to cheat out more damage like Molani does. But unlike Molani, she's a lot more versatile, and she's pretty much guaranteed to stay somewhat meta-relevant in the future. Because so long as they release off-fielders that do damage, having an on-fielder that can equip the VV set is gonna be alright. And she's by far the best VV holder if you don't want to be putting VV on a support, if you want to be putting VV on a carry. Chaska's overall damage isn't that bad, but it's not particularly outstanding. But she has the ability to be played in a lot of different teams. Right? You can play her wherever you want, because her passive, right, it rewards you playing non-Animo, Dendro, or Geo elements, right? So Pyro, Hydro, Electro, Cryo. But it doesn't favor any single one of them all that much. The damage is split in between a lot of different numbers, so it doesn't heavily favor the multiplicative reactions, right? The Pyro, Cryo, Hydro, like Vape and Melt stuff. But it does benefit from it. And so you end up with a lot of options for her teams. The cost of that versatility is damage. Realistically, compared to the other Natlan carries, Chaska's damage is generally a bit lower. That being said, Chaska also has some pretty powerful constellations. So if you're the sort of player who wants to go all in on one character, getting Chaska with cons is going to make you have a carry that can be used against pretty much any boss. Almost any boss. Pretty much anything except the turtle. I mean, technically you can still use her against the turtle, but yeah. Personally, I still wouldn't necessarily recommend going for Chaska. I think she's a kind of whatever character, and yeah. But if you really want to, like, if you really like her, she is definitely a very usable carry. Next, we have our 4-star characters. So, INEFFA, Ororon, Bennett. Let's start with INEFFA. Let's just get him out of the way, because he's the worst one here by far. INEFFA is budget Sucrose number 37. INEFFA isn't good. INEFFA's, like, kit is basically designed around being a, like, on-field Animo character that has healing. Right? He's supposed to be favoring Electrocharge and Swirl. Or, sorry. Yeah, he's supposed to be, yeah, favoring Electrocharge and Swirl. Pretty much the same thing as Mizuki, but with Electrocharge on top of the Swirl. But the problem is, the buffs that he gives to Electrocharge and Swirl aren't really better than the buffs you get to Electrocharge and Swirl from getting the EM buff from Sucrose. And unlike Sucrose, you can't really swap out of him at will because he's got his Night Soul state that he wants to get into, and he goes in the air when he's in his Night Soul state. He does have healing, which is nice, but the healing is honestly fucking pathetic. It's not good healing. It technically does enable Farina, but the unfortunate reality is that the way they're going, the direction they're going with Taser teams right now, is with Lunar Charge. And Lunar Charge does not benefit from damage percent, so enabling Farina is actually pretty worthless. You don't actually give a fuck about enabling Farina, because you don't benefit from the main thing that Farina provides, which is the damage percent buff. Like, you still do benefit from it a little bit, but not that much. So Aoife's just kind of a stupid character and a funny, like, I don't understand why they made him. I'm gonna sneeze. He does buff Lunar Charge, yeah, but so does Sucrose. Like I said, right? Like, his kit directly is designed around Swirl and Electro Charge, is designed around those reactions, not around the talent damage. But the main upside he has over the alternative, which is Sucrose, is his ability to heal, which enables Farina's fanfare to be generated. But the fanfare doesn't buff those reactions, so it's just kind of pathetic. On top of that, his healing before C6 is honestly so awful. The C6 significantly helps his healing, and it's kind of hard for him to break even on healing with Farina's HP consumption without the C6. Farina's C6 consumes HP based on your current, or sorry, based on your total HP. And it's a percentage, which means HP scalers need more healing to break even from the HP consumptions. So Farina herself is going to need way more healing than your attack scalers. It's rough. At the end of the day, INEFFA is still a Catalyst Animo character, so you can always just use him as your VV if you don't own the other VVs yet because you're a new account. Or if they're busy somewhere else. It's okay. It works. It is what it is. Next is Auroron. What the heck is Auroron? There he is. Why did I... There he is. So, Auroron, like, is directly designed around Electro Charge, right? His Ascension passive makes him generate Night Soul points when you hit enemies with Hydro or Electro with other party members. And then it makes it use up those Night Soul points to deal damage when you trigger Electro Charge or Lunar Charge. But it also gets Night Soul from triggering Night Soul Burst, and it also uses up that Night Soul from dealing Night Soul aligned damage. Honestly, in Taser teams, Auroron is kind of dog shit. Like, he's not bad, but he's incredibly replaceable. He's really not doing too much. And the Taser teams, generally, outside of the INEFFA ones, are kind of not that good damage-wise. So Auroron is a functional second Electro slot in your Taser teams, but he's far from necessary, and you can just use Fischl, really. Nowadays, Auron's relevance in the meta is a lot more in non-Electro Charge teams with Natlan characters. So, Auron's ability to apply off-field Electro, I'm gonna sneeze, makes him work, I'm gonna sneeze again, makes him work as the Electro slot in a Shuttler's team. And his ability to enter Night's Soul Blessing allows him to use the Natlan support set, the Inner City. On top of that, his C6 gives your on-fielder an attack buff. And honestly, more importantly, all of his damage is Night Soul aligned. And the nice thing about Night Soul aligned damage is that there's some bosses that actively benefit from you having that. Auron is pretty good at breaking void shields. He's not the best, because you won't trigger his Ascension passive against void shields because you need to deal damage in those teams to trigger it. But he is pretty good at it nonetheless because his burst hits fairly quickly. And his burst is Night Soul aligned. On top of that, he's a Natlan character, so he generates Night Soul, which can generate Fighting Spirit from Aoika. But yeah, so overall, that's honestly what Auron's main role is nowadays. It's an Electro slot for the Natlan carries. So the Pyro ones, I say Pyro ones as if there was more than one. There's Maoika, but you can also use him with Chaska. Auron is also technically usable with Nevidet, although he's pretty much outclassed in every way by INEFFA. And he's usable in other teams, but he's outclassed in pretty much all of those teams as well. I'd say that Auron nowadays is the sort of character that's good to have, and his constellations are good to have, but not because of any of them outside of C6. It's pretty much just the C6. But it's not as big of a deal as you might think. Like, 30% attack is nice, but it's not actually 30% attack. It's up to 30% attack, but you gain it fairly slowly. So in practice, it's more like 20%, and it's alright. Like, that's a support set, that's a TOM or a Noblesse. But it's not an insane deal. He's not the sort of character that you're too happy to see on banner, but you're not unhappy to see it either. And then finally, we have the GOAT. We have Bennett. Bennett is just kind of, yeah.
Benny's adventure team.
Bennett has always been an insanely strong character. He's been pretty consistently one of the strongest characters in the game. I'd say that right now, he's objectively top 2. And whether he's number 1 or not is going to depend on who you ask. But yeah, the trend that characters have followed lately is they have made carries have larger and larger motion value numbers, as well as access to self buffs that are not attack percent in their kit and artifact sets. And that's created a scenario where, because the numbers from the carries are getting bigger and bigger, you gain more and more from stat buffs. And because Bennett's attack buff is the best in the game, Bennett just keeps gaining value. Compared to characters who only provide off-field damage, or a mix of off-field damage and buff, but the buff is lower. I'd say that in the Sumeru meta, Bennett was good, but he wasn't Honestly, he probably wasn't even top 5. Because the attack scaling carries that we had back then were just a lot worse. And there was a lot less flexibility. I think at the time, the strongest 4-star was just Singto, by far. But as they've kept releasing more and more good attack scaling characters that want to use Bennett, right, like if you look at the Sumeru meta, what were the strong attack scaling characters? Changeling. What were the other ones that people considered okay? Like Klee. I mean, Hu Tao, but she doesn't love Bennett. She can use him, but it's, yeah. Ayaka, but she didn't really use Bennett much. Raiden, but like, buddy, be so for real right now. Xiao, but like again, be so for real right now. And we only really started getting actually strong attack scaling characters in Fontaine, right? Where we got Lenny, we got Navia, we got Arlecchino. If you want to push it a little bit, you could say Risley, but yeah. And then it's kept up in Natlan, where we got Kanich, we got Chaska, we got Malika. We got Veressa, but Veressa doesn't really love Bennett, and neither does Kirk, but still. And so Bennett's Bennett has always been a very strong unit, but he wasn't an important part of the best teams you could make, nearly to the same extent back in the Sumeru meta or before that, as he has been lately. Right now, Bennett is definitely one of the best units in the game. He's very, very good, and if you don't have him, you're kind of cooked for a lot of teams, so getting at least one copy of it is nice. I think people often heavily overestimate the importance of Bennett's constellations. Bennett only has 3 constellations. He has C1, C5, and C6. The C1 makes it so that he always gets the attack buff. By default, he only gets the attack buff when he's not healing, so when you're above 70%. But honestly, unless you're playing like a complete idiot, you should still be getting good uptime on your attack buff, even without the C1. Unless you're playing Arlecchino, basically. And so, the main part of this is actually the 20% attack buff, which is nice. It's alright. Then C5 is 3 burst levels, which is a little bit less than 20%, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I looked at the values for this. Right, so you go from 10 at 101 to 13 1. Yeah, it's 18%. And then C6, it gives you a Pyro Infusion, and it gives you 15% Pyro damage. It says that Sword, Claymore, and Polearm characters gain 15% Pyro damage. That's not true. It's actually everyone gains 15% Pyro damage, but only Sword, Claymore, and Polearm characters get infused with Pyro. Bennett's constellations are good, and honestly, the biggest reason they matter is because everyone uses Bennett, right? And so getting the cons on Bennett is going to be somewhat impactful for pretty much every account. However, none of them are really necessary. So as long as you get your Bennett, you're honestly fine. Overall, I would say that these banners are pretty solid for new players, right? If you don't have Bennett yet, getting Bennett is good. getting Molani early on is pretty nice. Because she works well with the characters given for free. INEFFA is at least gonna be a fucking cope sucrose until you get her. Oron can be nice to have. It's okay. But getting cons on INEFFA, I mean, whatever. Getting cons on Oron can be nice, but it's whatever. Getting cons on Bennett isn't necessary once you have him. So going deep on this banner isn't that great. If you're an older player, you probably already have the Bennett cons you want. You probably don't care about INEFFA cons, and Oron cons can be alright. So this is probably a better than average, like, early banner into an account, and a pretty average banner for non-early players. This is a bit worse than that, because Chaska is not quite as valuable in my opinion. Now let's talk about this. And boy, this banner is tempting me. Surf's Up, Molani's Sig, right? Astral Vulture's Crimson Plumage. I don't know how you say that. Chaska's Sig. And then you have 3 of the weapon banner exclusive 4-star weapons, and 2 fabs. First, Molani's Sig. Molani's Sig, when you just compare it to Witsith on the good rotation with Witsith buff and with the right Witsith buff, isn't that much better. But Witsith is 50% uptime, and one of the 3 buffs is completely worthless. Which means that unless you're playing in content that you can kill in one rotation, right? So, like in Abyss, Witsith is good enough. But in Siege and Onslaught, where content is designed around you taking, like, actually 5-6 rotations to clear it, Surf's Up makes a much bigger difference. Compared to Molani's Sig, it's honestly pretty similar overall. So I think you can kind of just go for whichever. But, well, the weapon banner's a little bit better overall this time. So what about Astral Vulture's... What about Chaska's Sig? Chaska's Sig on Chaska is quite good. But also, pretty much all the bow user carries right now are charge attack ones. Right, like Chaska, Lenny. Actually, that's it. Those are the 2 real bow user carries right now. That's it. Like technically, there's Yoimiya, Ganyu, and Child, but like they're kind of definitely too. So right now, it's mainly just Chaska and Lenny, and Chaska's signature is a good bow on Chaska, obviously, but it's also a pretty good stat stick on Lenny. If you don't want to use it on Lenny, it can end up being a shitty... Like, if you want to use it on other bow characters, like on Fischl, for example, it's not going to be very good, because the attack buff is conditional on triggering Swirl, and the charge attack buff doesn't help. So it's not the best, like, just general bow stat stick, but it's also not bad. But it is actually quite good on the bow user carries we have right now. So it's I'd say a fairly average, like, weapon to lose a 50-50 to if you're not actively looking for it. And then we've got this lineup, which is kind of wild. We have the Flower Wreathed Feathers, which is honestly probably the worst weapon here. It's an alright weapon for charge attack users, but it's not that amazing. It's just okay. It is what it is. Whatever. Then we have Wave Riding Whirl, which is kind of an interesting one. At R5, you get 40% HP, and then another 48% HP if you have 2 Hydro characters, or just another 24 if you only have 1 other Hydro character. It's an ER weapon. This is kind of a funny one. Initially, I thought it was going to be good on Nevidette, because I didn't realize there was a 15-second cooldown. But the 15-second cooldown kind of makes this dog shit on Nevidette. You don't really proc this at the right time in his rotation. So you're kind of cooked. This is pretty much just a Molani weapon right now. The ER isn't the best stat, but it's not bad either. ER isn't like a stat that you actively want to go out of your way to get on Molani. But if you end up with ER, it can end up bringing you to being able to use your burst every rotation instead of every other rotation. And if that's the case, then obviously it's good. Generally, it's not worth building a lot of ER just for that. But if you get 60 from your weapon, and it's a weapon that also gives you the offensive stats you want, then that's alright. And if you get the 48 and the 40, that's 88% HP, which is, well, a lot, right? When you compare it to, for free-to-play option, the default one, right, the Ring of Yaksha, it's a 41% HP and 32 damage percent. However, Molani is a character on which HP Goblet is actually viable. So damage percent and HP percent can basically be converted 1-to-1. So this is basically 32 plus 41. Alright, so 73 HP. Wave Riding Whirl at R5 is 88. And 60% additional ER on top of that. So just compared to the free-to-play option, it's a lot better. But only at high refine. Ring of Yaksha, Wave Riding Whirl doesn't give Molani any of her offensive stats from the substats. It's all just from the passive, which means that, well, offensively, it gives you double the amount at R5 that it does at R1. Basically, Wave Riding Whirl is the sort of weapon that's kind of shitty to get generally, but if you end up getting a lot of copies of it, you're happy to see it. The problem is, when it's on the banner with Surf's Up, it's kind of stupid, because, like, if you go deep enough on the banner to get R5 Wave Riding Whirl, you're probably deep enough to get Surf's Up, too. So it kind of feels dumb. But it is what it is. Anyways, these are the 2 worst weapons on the banner here. Now let's talk about the fucking bangers. First banger. Fruitful Hook. Fruitful Hook at R5, 32 plunge attack crit rate, 32 plunge attack damage percent, high base attack, attack substat. This is best in slot on Claymore plungers. It's better than the 5-star weapons, because there is no 5-star signature on a plunged Claymore character. All we have is just stat sticks, and this is just more stats than the 5-star stat sticks give you. At low refine, it's not as good, but it's still not that far behind the 5-stars because it's just such a good weapon overall. Compared to Serpent Spine, it's generally, well, it refines better than Serpent Spine does, So at R1, it's pretty similar to R1 Serpent Spine, but at R5, it's better than R5 Serpent Spine. But unlike Serpent Spine, you don't have to deal with fucking having to wait for the stacks. Which is nice. All in all, if you're a Gaming player, or if you're a Diluc player, or something like that, Fruitful Hook is a pretty appealing weapon to get. But I don't think it's worth actively going for, because I feel like they probably will give us a Claymore Plunger at some point, and when we do, we'll get a signature for that. And generally, by the time you get R5 of this on a banner, that's enough wishes to get a fucking 5-star weapon as well. Probably more than one, actually. Fruitful Hook, you're pretty happy to see it if you were planning on going over the banner anyway, because it gives you more options for plungers. But it's not, like, insane. The thing is, there's no good Claymore here. Right? Like, none of the weapon banner Claymores are, like, particularly great. Claymores are hard carried by the Battle Pass weapon. And non-Battle Pass Claymores are generally kind of bad. And the gap between the gacha ones and the craftable ones is generally incredibly low. So pretty much the only weapons you care about seeing on the Claymore slot on weapon banners are Fruitful Hook, Makara Aquamarine, and Fav. But Fav Claymore isn't that good because there's just not a lot of Claymore characters that want Fav. And Makara Aquamarine is only good on some characters, just like Fruitful Hook. And finally, we've got the two best 4-star weapons in the game, Fav Sword and Fav Lance. Fav weapons just in general, like inherently, are incredibly broken. What makes Fav Sword and Fav Lance better than the other Fav weapons is just the amount of sword and polearm characters that care about using Favonius. If you look at Catalyst characters, you've got a decent amount that can use Favonius, but you have other support weapons, TTDS. And the existence of TTDS makes it so that Fav Codex is a lot worse, because a lot of the characters that could use Fav Codex will want something else, right? You could use Fav Codex on Sucrose, because she's a support character, but you're generally better off using TTDS or Sackfrag. You can't use Fav Codex on Kogomi because she can't crit. You can use Fav Codex on Charlotte, but if you have enough energy, you'd much rather use TTDS. You can use Fav Codex on Lolly, but again, same thing. TTDS or Sackfrag is generally better. You can use Fav Codex on Shanyan, but it doesn't feel great because you have to build a decent amount of crit to proc it, and Shanyan is a character that actually scales pretty well with attack, so you'd rather, generally, get her energy from other sources. You could do Fav Codex on Lanyan, but again, you'd rather use TTDS. So for Catalysts, it's good, but it's not necessary. For bow users, there's a bit more of them, right? But either they're not that good, or you don't play too many of them at the same time, and because you get a Favonius Warbow for free from completing the Mondstadt story, it makes Fav Bow just a worse weapon to see on a banner. Right? Like, you'd want to use it on Diona, maybe on Yelan, on Goro, on Farazan, but like, on Diona it's not necessary, and then both Farazan and, oh, Goro's kind of dog shit, Farazan's pretty situational. So really, it's kind of just a Yelan weapon, sometimes Ororon. And then Claymores, oh boy. I don't think there is a good Claymore character that wants Fav. Yeah. Or it's good. Maybe next patch with Ino it'll be fine, but meh. And then we compare that to the polearm and sword users, right? Sword users, you've got Xingqiu, Keiya. Keiya doesn't see that much play, though. Xingqiu, Kazuha, Lila if you want to shield her. Farina. Dahlia. There's other characters that use it, right? Kaya, Jean, Lynette. But they're generally not strong enough to matter that much, so it's fine. And then for polearm characters, it's even worse, man. You got Xiangling, Rosaria, yeah, Xiangling, Rosaria, Candace, Shenhe, Zhongli, Yao Yao, Mika, Chevalers, Kachina, Yonsan, Escoffier, INEFFA. It's, dude, you need so many 5 lances, man. 5 lances, like, yeah. So both 5 sword and 5 lance you're pretty happy to see them. 5 lance even more so than 5 sword now, but anyways. Overall, I'd say that this is definitely a much better than average banner. The biggest problem is that both Chaska's Sig and Milani's Sig are kind of carry exclusive weapons. They're not good stat stakes on characters like Fischl that just do off-field damage. But they are quite good on the characters that use them. And then you have a pretty powerful 4-star lineup as well. Generally, I'd say that if you're trying to go for vertical investment on either Chaska or Milani, I'd probably favor getting the Sig a little bit more than getting early cons. But a pretty significant contributing factor to that is the presence of these fucking broken-ass 5 weapons. And if you already have enough 5 lances and 5 swords, then maybe you're better off going for the cons instead. But yeah, so overall, Milani banner, better than average for new players, fairly average for older players. Chaska banner, not too appealing for anyone except people that want to go for Chaska and like Chaska cons, like vertical investment for Chaska right now, I would say. And then, weapon banner, a bit better than average for sure. Well, a decent amount better than average. Honestly, if instead of Chaska we had a more appealing character here with a signature that was different from this, just any signature that like would work as a general stat stake, yeah, like Aqua with Yu'lon or some shit like that, the weapon banner would be so much nicer. But even like this, it's definitely better than average. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the banner review. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a thing or two. I'm kind of getting baited. My EU account is progressing well right now, but I still don't have fucking Bennett, and I actually don't have any of these 3 characters. So for IT, this would be nice. But also just getting Bennett is kind of important. So I might get baited into going on this banner, but I hope I don't get Milani because I don't really want her on that account. Anyways, let's not talk about that account because I got a back-to-back incident day. I got to standard pity 2 days ago, and I got the worst possible standard pull I could have gotten, which was a constellation on the only 5-star character I already had. And then the following day, I got to pity on the limited banner, and I lost my 50-50 to Chi-Chi. So I'm in a bad mood, okay? I'm not happy about that shit. Get me out. Anyways, hope you enjoyed, hope you learned a thing or two, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, YouTube. Bricked account, yeah. Kind of is a bricked account. Unironically, just go for Milani, your Flynn's is cooked. Maybe you're right, honestly. Especially with the fucking goblet I have, man. Editors, I'll tell them later. Because I want to record the INEFFA post-release as well. Even the 9 months of Prime. What does my Milani build look like right now? I guess I'll just put it on Barbara, actually. Yeah, it's already in. I've got this fucking abomination. Yeah, that's not bad. That could be pretty good as well. That could be pretty good as well. And that's alright. Maybe I should get this to 4. See if it rolls crit. No, because I don't even want to get Milani, dude. I got this thing, which is kind of... Yeah. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why is crit damage a recommended stat for Barbara? Anyone know? Because I don't get it, man. Maybe I get this to 4, see if it rolls crit. Didn't. I mean, that's not bad, right? Like, that's an 8 roller. Fuck it, dude. I'm getting baited. I'm getting baited. Oh, I'm getting baited. Dude, I'm getting baited so hard. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah! 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 Dude, are we just getting Milani? Like, like at this point, like, fuck me, dude.
wonder when I'll...
Ooh, that's really good. Where did this shit come from, man? Fucking pissing me off, dude. I'm gonna go for Milani, aren't I? Fine. This is gonna roll all crit. I'm just gonna fucking full send it, dude. I'm keeping this. That's pretty dog shit. Fuck! Okay. Good. Stick to this. I do have an R1 Witzith too. Huge. Remember how much you hate her gameplay? Dude, I should. I should remember that. But right now my thoughts are occupied elsewhere. I'm seeing these artifacts and I'm like, man. Like, how many rolls is this? This is 8. This is 7. 15. This is 8. 23. This is 8. 31. This is 7. 38. 38? 38?! The fuck?! Like, man! Number 1 is 42. 40. 42. 41. 38. There's some 38s on the first page. Like, fuck, man! Ah! Fuck! I'm just... Who knows? Maybe this rolls an 8 roller as well? No. This could be. Chad, I got convinced. I've been convinced. I'll go for Milani. Fine. You got me. You got me, Genshin. You got me. GG. Fine. Fine. I will. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Fine. C1 Milani. I mean, I'll try. That is the plan, yeah. I can't be bothered. C1 or R1. They're fairly similar. On this account, I'll go for C1. Because You don't want the favs? I already have 4 Fav Lances, and I don't really have characters that need Fav Sword right now. And this is not something I want. Yeah, and I'd rather try to get Bennett cons. Exactly. Are you like 74 crit rate right now? Melanie has. Oh, you're right. She does have crit rate ascension. Oh, are we cooked? Are we cooked? I mean, we're not cooked. We can just replace this. It does mean we lose a roll, though, right? Is this a 7 roller instead of an 8 roller? But it's fine. Unless we find something else that's good. None of these have crit damage, right? Alright, because it's plus 19.
Wonder when I'll be as tall as my big sister.
Still a little overcapped with this. Can't really avoid it, though. I mean, we could, actually. With this. Plus 19, we're at 61 crit rate. Yeah, that's fine. We're not at 38 anymore. Now we're at, this is 7. This is 7. 14. This is 8, 22. This is 8, 30. This is 7, 37. But still. By the way, this is such a funny piece. This is such a hilarious piece, man. This is actually so funny. Account bricked by Agatha Temptation. Yeah, you might be right about that, but it's fine. I believe in the Durin buffing the Molani teams. Trust. Trust. I believe.
La da da da.
That's 200 EM just from substats, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, I guess I'm just... Actually, no, fuck the Witsith. You know what? I'll get an early weapon on the Sig banner, and I'll win the 37.5, 62.5. Trust. 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 It's true. Talon has broken you. This is painful to watch. I'm sorry. What team do you even plan on playing her in? It's a good question. Alright, so one of our teams is gonna be probably this. And then with Bennett once we get him. Then the other team is gonna be, if we get Milani. Probably this. With Oron instead of, or not Oron, INEFFA instead of Lynette. But I'll get Candace eventually. Isn't Power MC better? Not if you Guoba. Who does Candace replace on that team? Kachina? Yeah, Kachina. Get us confused for the tech. True!
Burn it down. Faster, stronger. On my, I'll protect you. Wrath from the sky.
Alright, this is gonna be the EM mains that I've been looking for. Trust. It was not. Is that my first 4-star? Okay, that's crazy. It's insane. Out of the current and future banners, Lil Bro chose the gameplay he hates the most. Maybe I shouldn't. Oh, why is it so hard to make a decision, man? Why is my Milani build so good? That's the shit that pisses me off, dude. Like, that's what really fucking pisses me off. It has no business being this good. You need to distract yourself? I do. I do. I'll be right back, chat.
Many insects have a compulsion to follow the light, and humans are the same. Except we call that light hope. Instead of confining themselves to the heavens, God should broaden their horizons in the world below.
I'm back. Alright, chat. I think it's time for the INEFFA post release. Need a surfboard. Alright, shut up, Zajef. No one asked. Okay! Everyone's out of YouTube. Alright. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome. Hi to the INEFFA post-release video. Now, INEFFA is a character that has received actually a decent amount of changes from the post-release. But outside of just direct changes, there's also a few external factors that are a bit different. So we're gonna have a lot of stuff to correct in this video. INEFFA, or sorry, as usual for the post-release, we go through the pre-release video. We talk about what we got right, what we got wrong, what we missed. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. Hi, old Zajef. We can probably skip past most of this. Actually, no. We need to talk about Lunar Charge itself a little bit, don't we? Yeah. Okay, so that's with the assumption that INEFFA is the main Lunar Charge trigger. When you start looking at teams that have actual dedicated Lunar Charge carries with the upcoming Lins, Lunar Charge ends up being a little bit more of a portion of the team DPS. In this team, right, we have 110k for this, and if I remove the Lunar Charge reaction itself, we're at 86k. Pretty much 90k, so it's like 20k, so it's more like 20% of the team DPS than 10%. Because you end up stacking a lot more different buffs, so you just end up getting bigger procs. 20% is a bit more relevant for sure. That being said, it's still not an insane amount. One thing I want to address about the Lunar Charge reaction itself is, unlike Electro Charge, you don't need a lot of application to trigger it. So when your application is slower, Lunar Charge can actually end up doing more damage than Electro Charge and having a higher ceiling. That's mainly going to be noticeable when you play teams with Dendro characters. When you play teams with Dendro characters with like decent speed Hydro, the aura is kind of complicated, but the main thing you have to remember is that if you apply Hydro twice in a row in between two Dendro apps, the first one will trigger Bloom and that's it, but the second one will trigger Bloom and Electro Charge. The thing is, it's not going to apply a Hydro aura on the enemy, it's just going to... Right, then that's assuming you have a Quicken aura with an Electro aura. Like, that's basically always going to be the case when you're playing Electro carries with a Dendro support, right? It's not going to apply Hydro on the enemy, but you will trigger Lunar Charge and Electro Charge. And so, because Lunar Charge ticks slower, if you maintain the auras, it deals damage less often. But if you never end up with an aura, and it just triggers it whenever you apply Hydro twice in a row, then they end up ticking at the same rate, right? Because you only trigger it once when it reacts. And if that's the case, then that added damage that Electro Charge has from ticking more often doesn't actually happen. And so in those cases, Lunar Charge is a decent amount better. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I mean, we can skip the ability descriptions. Okay. It seems like it's about 5 seconds for the Thundercloud duration. So, as long as you trigger Lunar Charge every once in a while, it's pretty easy to maintain full uptime on the Thundercloud. So, no problem with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. The one thing, actually, wait. I'm about to say however. So let's. What did I say here? Okay. Yeah. So that's half true. I mean, what I said wasn't wrong, but there is also another dimension to INEFFA that I wasn't really sure about in pre-release because we didn't have Flynn's leaks yet, but that has been confirmed now, right? INEFFA increases lunar charge damage by 14% multiplicatively, and INEFFA gives elemental mastery to your on-fielder. On top of that, INEFFA is an electro character, so she generates electro particles and gives you electro resonance. All of that to say, INEFFA is a pretty powerful buffer for Flynn's. On top of having her personal damage. She's not like the most insane buffer in the game, but her buffs are actually relevant. And so she has that added dimension that Imity doesn't have. Yeah. So that is the big change that happened in between last version of beta and live. She don't snapshot no more. That's a pretty big nerf for some teams, but it also kind of doesn't matter for other teams. Mainly, it's a big nerf to pretty much all the teams that use Bennett, and it kind of isn't a change at all for any team that doesn't use Bennett. But yeah, 07, the Overvapor Arlecchino teams, the Chaska teams, like, they're still good, but they took a big hit from this change. Yeah. Yeah, they did remove it. Yeah, so that was with the assumption that you get the Bennett buff, and you don't, so it's not quite gonna reach that 40k-ish. On top of that, I mean, actually, we'll talk about that more once we get to the artifact builds. Never mind. Oh. Yeah, okay, never mind. We'll talk about it then. Even back then, I knew. But yeah, it's fine. Oh. Oh, sweet summer child. Oh. Your naivete knows no bounds. Yeah. That's fake. That's not real. It's fake. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we can skip this. All right. Yep. Yeah, like, INEFFA's C1 for Flynn's teams is pretty solid. It's one of the options you can go for, but it's not as good as getting Flynn's C1 or R1. So, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it over Flynn's cons if you want to vertically invest into those teams. Yeah. Especially with the fact that the Nullcry carry set doesn't actually work on INEFFA. Her C2 is just pretty shit, actually. It's not great. Yeah, don't go C2 or 0. That shit sucks. If you want to go higher than C1 or R1, you get C1 R1. You don't go C2. Yep. Yeah. I will say though, yeah, for a C6, it's on a support character, it's not that great. Mhm. Yeah, we can skip to the conclusion for weapons. The snapshot changes most definitely change things. Mainly, um, Calamity Queller is a lot better because it actually works now. It's not like insane broken, but it's pretty good. Um, Missive Windspear is a little bit worse because it's not full uptime. But that's pretty much the only things that change. You still generally just use either Ketane or Fab if you don't have the 5-star weapons, and if you do, you kind of just use one of your stat sticks and it's fine. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now for artifact sets. Yeah, yeah. It's not. The new sets that we have, there's a carry set that only works when you stay on field, so it doesn't work on INEFFA, so you're not using it. And there is a support set that gives you a different effect based on the amount of Nullcry characters you have on the team. Basically, the 2-piece is 20% ER. The 4-piece is an effect that gives your team an EM buff when you deal elemental damage. The EM buff is 60 if you have 1 Nullcry, and 120 if you have 2 or more. So, if you play INEFFA with Flynn's, it's going to be 120 EM. The thing is, unlike Cinder City, the Nullcry artifact set doesn't require the character wielding the set to be from Nullcry. As long as you have 2 Nullcry characters on the team, you can put the set on anyone. And because INEFFA is going to tend to be a larger portion of your team DPS than your Hydro slot, you generally prefer putting that support set on your other characters than on her. That being said, even despite all that, because Gilded is such a pathetically shitty set, you're kind of better off putting her on TOM so that you get the TOM attack buff on your Flynn's. So, your Hydro character on the new support set, INEFFA on TOM, and Flynn's on the carry set. Or, INEFFA on the new support set, your Hydro character on Noblesse or TOM or whatever, and Flynn's on the carry set. But generally, it's either TOM or the new support set on her. Technically, like, you can use Gilded, it's not that much worse, but it's whatever. Point is, though, she didn't end up getting an actual dedicated set for her, so you can kind of just put her on whatever now. And yeah, keep in mind, right, just in terms of the amount of stats provided, 4-piece Gilded is 230 EM, or if you have an Electro character, 14% attack and 180 EM. Remember that a 2-piece of EM is 80, so it's basically the equivalent of 3 2-piece effects, right? In other words, if you go 2-piece, 2-piece, but your artifact quality is better by like 3 or 4 stat rolls, then it'll be better. So, as much as Gilded is her best damage set, it is far from necessary if you want to build her for damage. You can put her on 2-piece, 2-piece, and if you have a good enough 2-piece, 2-piece, it's probably better than your Gilded. Unless you have an insane Gilded because you farmed for all Hytham for 30 years. I'd say that currently, INEFFA is about as good as Raiden as a trigger. But when 6.0 comes out, things might change a little bit. 6.0 doesn't just see 1 new 5-star character, it sees 2. There's Flynn's, but there's also Llama. Llama is a Bloom reactions focused character. Her gimmick is basically she makes all of your Bloom reactions, so both Bloom, Hyper Bloom, Burgeon, right, all that. She makes those do more damage, and she personally deals Lunar Bloom damage, which is basically just shiny Dendro damage. It is what it is. Like, whatever, who cares? But the main important factor is that she buffs your blooms. Now, the way that she buffs your blooms depends on how many Notcry characters you have. As of the latest beta version, as of recording this video, her burst just directly buffs the damage of your bloom reactions, and her skill shreds ender resistance, which indirectly buffs the damage. And then the last way that she can buff it is through her ascension passive, which allows your bloom reactions to crit with a 15% crit rate for 100% more damage. So just 15% more DPS from your bloom reactions. However, that only works if you only have one Notcry character on the team. And Llama herself is Notcry, so if you put her with INEFFA, you lose that effect. When you have two Notcry characters, instead of buffing the bloom reaction damage, she buffs her own personal damage. She buffs the lunar bloom damage, which is just kind of like INEFFA's ascension passive, direct damage from her kit that doesn't scale with damage percent and bypasses enemy defense. The thing is, she got a pretty big nerf to her personal damage on the latest beta version, so that's not that appealing. And so putting INEFFA on the team actually makes things worse because you lose the crit rate on your blooms, and instead you just get a bit more personal damage on Llama, but like I said, her personal damage is just not that great anymore. Basically, they nerfed the synergy between Llama and INEFFA pretty hard. And Llama is going to be much better than Nahida in these Hyperbloom teams. And so because of that, I don't think INEFFA is going to be as good as Raiden in Hyperbloom when Llama comes out. The one exception to that is going to be teams that on-field your Hydro characters. Right? In all those teams, you want to play double Hydro, right? You either on-field Llama because she's a catalyst with like Sing So Yalan, or you can do an on-field Hydro carry like Neuvillette because Llama also shreds Hydro resistance. Because, you know, she wasn't good enough. She needed more good things in her kit, I think. Anyways. And in those teams, because of your off-field application, or because your Dendro application is off-field, you don't generate as many seeds. So the upside of Raiden hitting seeds faster and triggering Hyperbloom more often doesn't matter anymore. And at that point, the Lunar Charge personal damage from INEFFA paired with the shield, which is pretty nice, is just going to provide more value to your team than Raiden would. So basically, right now, INEFFA and Raiden are fairly similar in Hyperbloom teams. But when the new patch comes out, if you do Llama on-field Hyperbloom, Raiden will be better. But if you do Hydro on-field Hyperbloom, INEFFA will be better. Yep. Yeah, about that. So yeah, she doesn't snapshot, so that's not the case anymore. Yeah, no, same problem. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for like the strictly INEFFA focused teams, this is all right. But honestly, I just think that after all the nerfs that ended up hitting INEFFA through the beta, these teams are just not that great anymore. Like INEFFA seems to be very much balanced around Flynn's and just not that strong outside of the Flynn's teams. Although she is like fine in like normal Taser. Yeah. Why Bennett if no snapshot? Well, this was recorded before they removed the snapshot, and I've said multiple times, yeah, we don't use Bennett anymore. Yeah. So that's only half true. Um, in reality, it's fine if you do double Electro as well, as long as your Hydro is hitting faster than your Dendro does. Like, as long as you end up getting a back-to-back Hydro application in between two Dendro application, you'll be fine for your Thundercloud uptime. But it's going to depend a lot on the teams. Generally, if you do double Dendro, it's going to be hard to make that happen, but double Electro, it'll be fine so long as your Hydro isn't really slow. Yeah, yeah. Yep. Additional thing here, right? Now that we know what the null cry sets do, if you end up using INEFFA, it allows you to get 60 EM from the new null cry set as an additional buff. And if on top of that, your Hydro slot ends up being Ino, you can get 120 EM instead of 60 from the null cry set. So that's another nice thing that's gonna help these overrated teams. I know good for Arlecchino. It's gonna be really hard to make this work without I know C2 for the additional application. But at C2 it should be pretty solid team. I still think she's quite good for Chaska teams, but the removal of the Bennett buff certainly hurt her quite a bit. Oh, 07 snapshot buff. Like I said, this is still a good team, but it's, yeah. It's very unfortunate without the snapshot. Yeah, honestly, against Cactus, INEFFA's not even that much better than Yonsan in those like Farina Shenyan teams. I guess I should quickly mention. I mean, technically, you can use INEFFA in a Chivalrous team. She's gonna be pretty dog shit there, so gonna do no fucking damage. But she's a shielder, and we don't really have good defensive options for on the Electro slots for the Chivalrous team. So she is usable if you really, really want to. Okay, it is not like that at all. Now that we have the numbers for Flynn's, INEFFA is a pretty major upgrade over the alternatives in Flynn's teams. What the fuck is this? Okay. If you compare the premium team for Flynn's with INEFFA to the... Oh, I don't have a C6 Ino. Okay. If you compare a premium with Ino C6 or C0 to your next best alternative without INEFFA, it's about 20% behind. The personal damage, this is mainly because of how energy reliant Flynn's is. You can't play him solo Electro, you need a second Electro character. And that means you can't do Bennett for your like to replace the INEFFA slot, and because of that, the value of the bus you have access to is much lower. So the gap is it's pretty big. It's 20%. 20% is generally a little bit less than what you get from a constellation. If you look at C1 Flynn's best teams, or if you look at C1 Flynn's best teams without INEFFA versus C0 Flynn's with INEFFA, they're actually pretty similar, with C1 Flynn's without INEFFA being slightly better. But it's not that big of a difference, so you can kind of think of INEFFA as equivalent to a Flynn's constellation. Yeah, this is something I've mentioned a few times already, but if you're someone who just fell in love with Flynn's in the teaser video because you have no taste for, and you're wondering, do I need to get INEFFA for him? You don't. Even if at C0, right? Flynn's teams are looking like they're going to be strong enough to like clear content without INEFFA. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's 20% behind, but like 80-something KDPS is still very usable. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. And if you don't have enough primos to guarantee both INEFFA and Flynn's, the fact that C1 Flynn's is often slightly better than C0 Flynn's plus INEFFA means that if you only have enough primos to guarantee one of them, I'd probably just recommend not getting INEFFA and getting Flynn's, and if you end up getting him early, you can try to go for his C1 too. Can you give a comparison to existing teams so I can gauge the difference better? Sure. Generally, the like baseline for Natlan carries hovers between 80 and 100k, with the really good carries going above that, right? Verissa going above that. Who is 80k? I mean, a lot of them are 80k unless you have like the best possible teams for them, right? Molani, if you don't include the teams that are like incredibly fucking fake, is at around 80k. Chaska, when you don't just fucking play a Molani team and pretend it's a Chaska team, is at around 80k. Kinich, when you don't get 5 cannons, is actually below 80k. Did I say Molani team? I meant Mawika team. You know what I mean. Anyways, the point being, in his premium teams, Flynn's actually is competitive, if not better than the like early Natlan carries. But without INEFFA, he's arguably a bit worse. Anyways. Yeah, this is kind of hard to say, honestly. Like, we still don't know for sure what Columbina's gonna be. If Columbina's a support, Nogcrab Power Creep is probably gonna be fucking insane. Because we're already getting almost 110k on C0R0 teams with Flynn's. And that's with Ino, who's honestly just a shitty fucking character. So, if Columbina is actually a support and is supposed to replace Ino in those teams, I'm expecting those team DPS to go pretty fucking high. But if she's a carry, maybe not. I don't know. Conclusion for the post release. Honestly, I ended up not pulling for INEFFA. I'm pretty okay with that at this point. I've decided, you know what? This is okay. I don't need her. I don't really like Flynn's character or Flynn's gameplay design. It kind of just feels like they're redoing the same shit they did for Verissa. So, because of that, I'm not really too excited about the idea of getting him. And if I don't get him, then I don't really care too much about getting INEFFA either. Now that they've nerfed the snapshot, it makes her a lot worse in the non-Flynn's teams mainly. So, it's a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. But yeah, I've pretty much said all I wanted to say. So, as usual, I hope you learned a thing or two. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, YouTube. I already told the editors. Stall time? That sounds like a plan, yeah. We stare, actually. We pound. We zilch. Ooh. We kneel. Oh! Oh, wait. What? What? Is this a word? What the fuck is Nell? What the fuck is a Nell? What? Huh? Okay. What the fuck is in Mirepoix again? Onion. Yeah. Wield. Better Call Saul. Matt. Cows? Mania? Troll? End. Huh. Alright, not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Yo. Alright. Kaya. Sword user. I'll hide them. Okay. Do you know them? Isn't that Sayu? Yeah. Ooh. This is hard. I think this is supposed to be a leg. Could it be? Or maybe not. Maybe Diona. No. It wasn't a leg. Is it Ganyu? It's not. What the fuck is that? Is that Sethos? It kind of looks like Sethos' arrows, but it gives such cryo vibes. You telling me this icon is not for a cryo character? Really? I don't know, man. Dude, whatever. Okay. 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 Ooh, recent character. Let's try... Other. It's a hunt character? Late 2.x or early 3.x. But I don't know the characters in 3.x, so I hope it's late 2.x. Like, I don't know who the fuck is Hunt. Was March 2 that late? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what he is, but at least it'll tell me if it's, Amphorius or whatever. It's not. Okay. Let's try March, then. We're cooked, chat. We're so cooked. Okay, I know this isn't Hunt. I know this isn't Hunt. It's not Other, so it's not Saber. I know this isn't Hunt. It's not Amphorius. It's not Amphorius. Mose. Maybe it's Mose. I don't know what Mose is. I think he's lightning, but I don't know what path he is. Could be Mose. I know he's not Hunt. Beishao. It's not Wind. Cypher's not Hunt. I don't know what she is, actually. I don't think it's her. Maybe it's Mose. Let's try Mose. It was Mose! Let's go! Our 24 streak has survived. Huge. Huge. My wake span for today is running out. I must return to my coffin. Huh? Is this Locha? No, right? Who the fuck who the fuck has a coffin, dude? What in the hell? Like, maybe it's one of the fucking Halloween characters. That's Shui. Yeah. It was one of the Halloween characters. Okay. Okay. Oh my god. That's scary. Who's like spooked? Either spooked or spooky. Whoa. Oh my god! I'm actually the GOAT. What the fuck? Alright, Ben. Huh. Gee, I wonder who this could be. Alright. Angle in one today, chat. I'm not confident. Never mind. Ooh. That's like 222, right? Yeah, that's a 222. It's not. 228. Oh my god, we're so far. What the fuck? 234. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Somehow I got it, even though I started so far. My god. Okay. Next. Let's do the any guesser. I feel like I know this. Oh. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this, dude? Skip beat. Oh. I don't know this. What the fuck is that? Kaiju Girls Kuro, Ultra Kaiju Gijin. Okay. Sure, man, whatever. That's... This is, fuck, I don't know. That's the Angel Beats art style for sure. That kind of looks like the Classroom of the Elite uniform, but it can't be. There's no way. Right? There's no way. Like, she's smiling and blushing. Okay, never mind. I was wrong. Hooked. Oh, wait. What is this, actually? Like, I know, what the fuck is that? Actually, I don't care that much. What the fuck is going on here? I mean, that's probably Inuyashiki, right? Because I haven't seen it, but every time a character is uncanny like that, it's that fucking show. Who the fuck is this, dude? Who's this? Fourth is Adam. Oh, is that from Record of Ragnarok? That's actually such a good guess. What the hell? Well, it's not a guess. You probably just knew it, but I'm taking credit for it. Okay. Oh, chat. This is so isekai coded, but like, I don't recognize it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, chat. I don't know. Okay, never mind. Yeah, okay. Okay, cooked. We're so cooked. That was awful. It's fine, because today's Baki. It's not Baki, it's fine. Let's try ReZero. Not light novel. Let's try an original. Not drama, fantasy, or suspense. Try an original. Maybe Kill la Kill. 2013. It's not action, comedy, fantasy, drama, suspense, sports. What's left? Like thriller? No. Rom-com? But it's not a comedy. It could be romance. An original romance from 2013. Any knowers? It's not a romance either. Fuck, dude. Wait, what the hell? What's left? Bro, this is gonna be some shit that is clearly, like, fantasy or action, but is just not tagged as such for some reason. Tamako Market. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is this? Huh. Okay. I don't know what this is. Oh. Gee, I wonder what this is. VOD, it's fine. That's not... What is this, dude? I don't know what this is, dude. Penguin Drum. What the fuck is that, dude? I'm not... What the fuck is this, dude? Alright. I'm gonna need the video. What the fuck is this, man? The one with the twins. I don't know it. It's Mashal 2.0, but gay twin brothers? What? Okay, here's the thing, right? The phrase gay twin brothers inherently doesn't have a problem, but I feel like when you describe a character with just those three words, you're kind of implying that they're gay together, which creates a problem. So, like, what's going on here? Only if it's in the context of anime. True, actually. I don't know this. Yeah. Okay. Huh. Okay, let's do the Loldle. Chat, I just realized I completely fucked my editors today. Cause like, you know how I make it so that the Anidol doesn't go to the VOD? Well, neither did the video. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. I just realized I made your life painful. Pre-release vid wasn't on the right track, so it's not in the VOD. I'm so sorry. Is there an Ionian male champion with mana? I feel like they all have energy. Wait, is Hui from Ionia? It's released before Akshan anyways. Kindred? Kindred is not Ionian, not male, and not human. So that don't work. Rakan? Is Rakan from Ionia? Also, is Rakan counted as a range champ? He might be. Wait, Rakan is Vestayan, isn't he? He's not human. So it's probably not from Ionia. It's probably just Runeterra. Fiddlesticks? I'm pretty sure Fiddlesticks is not male. Fiddlesticks is other. Zerath? But it's not from Shurima, so I don't think it could be Zerath. Can't it just be Rise? Rise would be mid, though. Brand? Maybe? Maybe Brand isn't mid at all anymore? It's not a support, but it is a magically altered Runeterra. I didn't know Brand was from Freljord. That's crazy. Azir? It's not Azir. Singed, ranged. Jace, ranged. Graves. Graves wouldn't be Runeterra, would he? Ivern. Ooh. Ivern might be a good guess. Okay, yeah! Wait, it was Freljord Ionia. It wasn't Runeterra. What? What the fuck? What? Ivern is human? Ivern is a human who got transformed into a tree. It's the lore behind him. Like, he was a piece of shit, right? And he got, like, cursed and transformed into a tree. As punishment for his cruel actions. That's why his epithet is Ivern the Cruel. Now he's wholesome, yeah. Rocks could really come with an instruction manual. Huh? Aaliyah? Yeah. Is that Nami? No. Brand? No. Okay, I don't know what this is, chat. What the fuck is it? Yorick. Yorick? Okay, I would not have gotten this, dude. What the fuck? Which ability even is it? Is it the W? It's the E. Okay, sure, man. What the fuck? All I know about Yorick is the old icons for him. Dog. Getting walked. Yeah, I guess it's Nefiri. That? I don't know, actually. I don't know who this is. Is this Udyr? No. Aatrox? No. Ornn? Ah, it might be. No, not Ornn, sorry. Olaf. No, it's not Olaf. Wait, who is this? Tryndamere? Yasuo? No way. Pantheon? Yone? Who the fuck is this? Kayn? Wait, is that Yorick again? No. Warwick? Huh? What the fuck? What skin is that? Feral? Gray? Is that Gray Warwick? Huh. I didn't know that shit, dude. This is One Piece though. Who's up? One day it'll be him, man. Let's try Doflamingo. Yeah. Low or no bounty, no conqueror's hockey, but armaments and observation. Let's try Fujitora. On a marine. Oh. What? Okay, whatever. Introduce before Dressrosa. What was the arc before Dressrosa? Punk Hazard. Could it be Caesar? I don't know what bounty Caesar is at. Oh, he doesn't have Punky. Huh. It's before Punk Hazard. What was before Punk Hazard? Was that Skypiea? I mean, we know it's a zone fruit, right? Fishman? After Jaya. Was Water 7 after or before Jaya? I forgot, dude. After? Okay, let's try Lucci then. No, it's a character that does have a bounty. What the? Beckham's? But does Beckham's have a devil fruit? X Drake? Maybe. It's from Saboti. Who else? Farouk? Maybe Killer? Is he a zone? Beppo? Is Beppo a zone fruit? Or is he just a fucking bear? Yeah, no, he's just a fucking bear. Killer did get his own, did he? I see. Ah, alright. Damn. Kage. I don't know. Let's get the translated. Shadow. That's Gecko Moria. Who the fuck is that? I don't know. Oh yeah. It's Spero. True. That's the most generic laugh I've ever heard. Yamato? There's no shot Yamato sounds like that. Is that really what Yamato sounds like? No fucking way. That's crazy. Sure, man. Sure. Alright. Who are we shit talking from Naruto today? Who's our first to guess? Ino. Does anyone remember anything about Ino? Like, actually? Like, what the fuck was her purpose in the show, even? She mind controls people? Yeah, but like... Does it even fucking work? Like, I feel like she was just forgotten. Okay. Let's try someone who is introduced much later, not from Konoha. Ooh. From the 5 Kage Summit that has nature transformation. Killer Bee? That's a good guess. Because Killer Bee would have attributes Jinchuriki. Wait. Okay, it's not a Jinchuriki. Owl? Who the fuck is Owl again? I forgot. The one that doesn't have Dojutsu. The fuck is a Mizukage called? Any knowers? Mei Terumi? No, the other one. Yagura? Yeah, that one. Oh, but obviously it's not that. I'm a fucking idiot. They're dead. Any ideas? Kisame? I guess we haven't looked at a missing nin yet. Oh. Dude, what the fuck is their attribute even? Like, what's left? I don't care, just give me the fucking clue, man. Occupation clue? None. Well, that's not very useful, man. Okay, I just want, like, more different, like, attributes or, like, affiliations. We still don't know the affiliation. Like, fuck it, just, maybe it's from Suna? It's not. Okay. What affiliations are even left, dude? Kobe-Rama, but that would be Kona. Yeah. Kaguya's sons? Oh, yeah. Okay, man. Whatever. That was bad, dude. Jesus Christ. Is that Gara? That kind of looks like Gara's Jinchuriki bullshit. It's not. I was wrong. I don't know what this is then. Maybe it's Yamato? Wood bullshit? No. Nagato? Is it Nagato? No, shot. Obito? Madara? Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. The way we think is different, but I'm still proud of you. You truly are a gentle child. So this is probably being described as someone who is not a gentle child. So it's probably either describing Naruto or Sasuke. So it's probably either a member of Sasuke's family or Naruto's family. Fugaku? Is that Sasuke's dad? Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, is it to Itachi? I see. I see. What? What the fuck is this? Yeah, I mean, that's the Mama Frog? That's not... Toad? The fuck... What? Shima? That's crazy. How do you remember the name of the fucking Grandma Toad, dude? It's not Jigglypuff. It's not Sonic. It is from Brawl. Snake? Snake is a good guess. Not human. Heavier than Snake. from Brawl. Not human. King DDD? Maybe? Yeah. Let's go! Final smash. Let's see who the... Okay. That's Lucas. Could this fox perhaps represent a character called Fox, maybe? I don't know who this is, actually. Is that me, brother? Are you for real? It actually could be. It's not. Okay. Mega Man? Oh, I mean, that's just me, Brawler 2, is it not? Okay, it wasn't that. I don't know, man. Who the fuck is this? That's not Lil Mac, right? Bro, who is this? Link? No way, that's Link. Who the fuck is this? Shulk? You think? No. Bro, who is this? Ice. Oh, it could be Ice Climb. It's not. Bro, how many Dr. Mario? Oh. Okay. GG, man. Alright, whatever. That's gonna be it for today. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you had a good time. Let's raid. Let's raid bite sizes. I gotta go pee though, so I'm not gonna participate in the raid. But I hope you guys have a good time. Be nice. Don't say too much, Mpreg, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.